Hey guys, Mumbles here with another New World video, and today we're going to go over the best territory standing cards to choose. Depending on what you want to do with the territory, there are different things we like to do with territories in New World. Some people like to use them to live in, some people like to use some for crafting, some people like to use some for gathering. Some areas do have better perks and areas to do certain things. Just kind of figure out what is the best way to go about choosing your territory cards so you get the best out of them. Well, guys, let's jump right into the best territory cards to choose in which area. And if you guys like this video, don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Hey, guys, let's jump right into the best territory cards. So I know some of these pictures aren't fantastic. There isn't a lot on these on the internet, as well as I tried to do the same thing. And I'm just not great with blowing up pictures like this. So it came out almost the same thing. In fact, it came out a little bit worse. But as you can still read them, so just kind of bear with me with that. The first card, and probably the most important card that you should take in any territory, is the storage card. This is going to increase your storage by 50 points every single card. And usually this is a pretty high roll card, so you're going to get this pretty often. You should pick this up every single time you see it, just because it is so versatile early and late game. The next one you should get basically every time it pops up is standing gain. There's 300 levels of standing. The highest one I have is 65 right now. So even with about 250 300 hours into the game, I'm still extremely far from this, and it's a lot of grinding, especially if you're trying to get an early area up pretty high. It takes a lot of time. So getting this card will help increase your standing gain, making that go quicker, as well as the quicker that you get up in levels, the more other cards you can find and get. So take a few of these, especially early on, that way you can benefit from them the most. I would say around 20 or 30, you should probably start dialing back on them and choosing the more difficult cards, just because they are going to help more in the late run. Now, in territories you plan on buying a house, like for me, I plan on buying a house in Brightwood, Morningdale, and Edmundscale at first. Depending on what happens in the new area, if it is claimable, I may end up selling Brightwood. However, property tax is going to be key in those areas you want to buy a house. If you plan on buying a house, grab property tax every single second you get, because taxes are quite expensive and you do have to pay them every 5 days. So make sure you're getting this so you can maximize your profits from your gold, rather than spending it on your house. About every single time this you get this card, it's about 70 to 80 gold off a 20k house. So keep that in mind when you're trying to figure out pricing range. These help tremendously. You can get your taxes down really low with these, and that also goes into your house items. So if you're also trying to look to buy a house in an area, pick up some of these. They do allow you to increase the number of items you can place in your house. That way that you can make your house look a little bit more spiffy or special or just chaotic, depending what you want to go for. Trading tax, I recommend these for places where the market is booming. Right now in my server, it is Brightwood and Everfall and a little bit of Windsward, but Windsward is starting to die down a little bit. But Brightwood right now is the marketplace right now. So taking some trading tax cards in a couple of those areas where the market's gonna be really good, is probably going to be key to make the most money off your selling and buying items. The next thing is station fee. Now, I would probably take one of these in an area where you're maybe crafting a little bit more. Some places with like tier 4, tier 5 crafting stations all around. I wouldn't take this in a place that's not very developed yet, just because you don't know if it's ever going to develop. Like on my server, we currently have Morningdale, which basically hasn't been touched. The company that got it off the start literally hasn't touched it because it's not making money yet. It's a late game area and they're not putting stuff into crafting. So make sure that you are doing your crafting fees for areas that have either high taxes or you plan on crafting there a lot because of their high tier crafting stations. So there are some controversy between the gather speed cards. Some people say they don't work. Some people say they do work. Some people say they only work beyond like Silkweed and Weirdwood and up. Below that, it's so little that it doesn't really matter, but later on in the late game kind of materials, it does show up a little bit. The second to last card here, faction tokens. If you plan on grinding levels up to get other ones and you don't have anything better to take, this might be a really good one. Like if you end up with the XP card like we're gonna see here last, and maybe crafting stations, but you don't plan on crafting, and you get this card, it may be worth just take this card just to get more faction tokens. The more faction tokens you get, the more like late game gear you can buy off the faction guy, rather than trying to roll for the RNG for it. The last card, and probably the least important card, is the XP gain. Now the XP gain is just a 3% more XP gain while in that certain region. However, there are a max amount of levels. There's 300 standing levels, so you have a lot more standing levels than normal player levels. An XP gain, if you're doing a 3%, it only counts towards your person's level. It does not count towards your weapon. So for the most part, you want to kind of plan your cards around what you want to do in that territory. If you plan on buying a house, make sure you're buying the housing cards, like the housing items and the housing tax. The housing tax is probably the most crucial besides storage. However, take storage every time it shows up, because even though there's so many towns and so many storages, there's always going to be a storage problem. You're always going to want to be hoarding all that stuff. Crafting late game does take a ton of materials of everything, so it's really hard to kind of keep everything together. You should never be taking the 3% XP gain. It's not worth it, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion. This card is just, you should never take this card. Every other card's better than this card. But guys, if you guys like this video, don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Let me know, guys, what your guys' favorite cards are down below. I kind of vary depending if I'm going to be gathering and crafting in one area rather than buying a house. Such as Brightwood, I always get property taxes and property items, where like Everfall, I always get gather speed and crafting taxes, just because I want to make the most money out of the crafting and materials that I have. So I tend to buy the less taxes in those areas, because I can utilize the storage and the housing taxes and housing items in Brightwood. So guys, I hope you guys like this video. Have a great day. Goodbye. Deuces, y'all.